in the days of pro wrestling rather than sports entertainment, the fans were all concentrated on what was going on in the ring. They didn't give a fuck who wasn't there. They didn't give a fuck who had left the territory. They were concentrated on what was going on in the ring. In most cases, that shit was over, and they were, yelling and screaming about what you were giving them. And they weren't smart. Now, having said that, now that everybody's smart, everybody knows what's going on, everybody knows exactly what's going on with wrestling and how this thing is done, they have started hijacking the show. And part of that is because everybody's smart. And part of that is because nobody hijacks an independent show. And very few people hijack a TNA show, and nobody hijacks that I've ever heard a Ring of Honor show. They hijack the WWE show because those fans are seeing pablum. They're seeing fucking shit that's being fed to them, whether they want it or not, and they're not in the mood to fucking take it.
There's that, but it's also confusing to me that people will spend upwards of I'm 50, 70. I have no idea how much it costs to go to a live WWE event, but they're spending that much money to fuck it up, which I find fascinating. And that might be more a symptom of just the way society works now, because everybody wants to be part of everything. Like I'm the 12th man or something. Everybody's more cynical, yes. And most of the people who hijack the shows are the people in the $15 general admission seats. Oh, I wish they were $15. By the way, it's cheaper to go to a fucking SmackDown or Raw event than it is for a Ring of Honor show. That's another of the many problems I had with Greg the Office Boy. By the way, Greg Gilliland, if you're listening, I know you're not because you're a fucking asshole and you don't care about wrestling. And Joe Koff put you into the goddamn wrestling business just to fuck up Ring of Honor. So fuck you, Greg. And by the way, any Ring of Honor fans, send Ring of Honor emails saying, fuck you, Greg the Office Boy. But anyway, it's cheaper to get into fucking WWF shows than it is to get in to see the good wrestling. As we found out quite recently, we had gotten a letter from somebody asking about the cost of general admission seating to a live Ring of Honor show. But, that's the thing is the folks, the fans, in olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking, but heaven knows anything goes. Heaven knows anything goes. Kirschman fan. In olden days, nobody gave a fuck what was going on in wrestling anywhere else. They were looking at what was in front of them and what was on their local TV and what was in their local arena, and they cheered and they booed because they weren't smart and they didn't give a fuck. They just wanted the babyface to win and the heel to lose. Now that we've told everybody everything and the internet and blah, 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 and also the fact that the WWE is producing pablum with no emotion and no passion, and they beat the fucking passion out of the wrestlers that they train, and nobody knows how to get over themselves. They just do what they're fucking told, and it's a goddamn abortion all the way around. The fans don't like it. Imagine that. They're sitting there going, what the fuck? We don't like this shit. And they start chanting for shit that they would like or that they do like. Do you think that's productive, or would it be more productive to just not go? To stop buying tickets? Yeah, well, who knows? The other thing I think that might possibly be... Do you tell somebody don't buy tickets to shit that you might want to see because, chances are once you get there, you ain't going to want to see it? I would say don't do it because, I wouldn't waste my money. If I'm not enjoying something, I'm sure as hell not going to pay $50 or $60 to go see it. And sometimes these chants are coming from people in the front rows. Yeah, well, and to be honest with you, I went to see Ring of Earth, Wind, and Fire live when the tickets were $8.50. I'm not going to pay. I don't pay. I haven't paid. I've never paid $50 to see anything. Yeah, well, the last time I went to concerts, it was all like $5 shows at little clubs, like 100-seater clubs. I take that back. I went to see fucking Anthony Bourdain not Halloween, but
Valentine's Day a couple of years ago because Stace loves him and I like him, and he had the French guy with him, and we paid more than $50 and we couldn't understand the fucking French guy, but Anthony Bourdain was cool. But anyway.
But that was something you liked, you knew you would like, and you enjoyed. Whereas I think that there are people that pay money to hate watch things. You've heard the concept of hate fucking. This is hate watching. I hate this. I'm going to watch it just so I can be pissed off and bitch about it the whole time.
Yeah.
That's why. I mean, at least when you hate fuck something, you come. But, but if you're hate watching TV, if you're coming at the end, there's something wrong with you. Anyway.
Well, I guess to answer this question.
I forgot the question.
Well, to answer
the
thing is basically, now that everybody's smart, wrestling's dead, wrestling's gone. I don't know why anybody watches it, because
as people heard on The Experience last week, it's hanging itself in a barn.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody does it, because the whole concept of professional wrestling was two guys are going to have a fight. They're going to work it, but they're going to work it so that you believe that they're really fighting, and you buy a ticket to see who's going to fucking win because you care. All of that is gone. All of that is gone, and it's not coming back. So therefore, I do not see why we have professional wrestling today, and why anybody fucking does it, and why anybody fucking watches it. And that is my problem. And so anybody that asks questions about nuances of these things, I don't know how to answer, because the whole thing shot to fucking hell. The whole idea of wrestling was, we are going to have matches between people that you care about, one that you don't like, one that you do like. They're going to fucking have a fight. It's going to be fake, but you don't know that. And you care about who's going to win and what's going to fucking happen. And that's how we sell tickets. And now that that's gone, I don't know why that there is a wrestling industry. I don't know why that anybody wants to be a wrestler. I don't know why that anybody wants to buy a ticket to see wrestling. I don't know why any of this is happening now, because we have shot in the fucking head the whole reason for the existence of the professional wrestling industry. So right now, what we're doing is we're talking about what used to be, because I have no idea why anybody would do this now, why anybody would buy a ticket to see this now, why anybody would watch this on TV now, or why anybody has anything to do with this now, because it's bullshit. Everybody knows. There's no reason to fucking do it. There's no reason to fucking pretend. We just talk about what used to happen that we have fond memories of. But as far as current wrestling, we're fucked. It's only going to get worse. It's going to die soon. There's no reason to do this. There's no reason to have this. There's no reason to talk about it. That's why we talk about the old shit that we fondly remember. But guess what, folks? Pro wrestling is fucked and dead.
So in essence, if this is the industry you're looking to go into, we suggest you start taking jiu-jitsu classes now.
Please do. Please get into MMA, because in the next 3 to 5 years, what used to be pro wrestling will now be MMA. And we can start this whole thing all over again. We can start having fun conversations about how great this shit is. Because wrestling is fucked, folks, and it ain't coming back. There's no way to put the toothpaste in the tube. Back in the tube, and
you know what? That's not a negative. It is what it is. It's past tense, but there is a future. It just happens to have a different name.
They have taken a goddamn business that 50 million people in this country used to fucking like and watch on TV and go to see live, and they have made it a goddamn cottage industry that fucking 4 million people watch on Monday nights, and nobody pays to see live because it sucks. And they're wondering why the fuck people are knocking them.
It's like being a fan of silent film. It's gone.
When Charlie Chaplin said, "Oh, this fucking sound shit, it'll never get over." Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck this shit. I'm sad. I'm not pleased with this.
No, you can't possibly be.
I've loved this shit all my life. They've taken all the art out of it. They've taken all the fucking fun out of it. And they've taken the money out of it.
The only thing anybody can really be happy about anymore is, I guess, these tiny indie promotions that dot the land that are trying to maintain the old school vibe. And you have sort of weekend warriors who are...
Here's the problem. None of them were around for the old school, so they don't know what the old school vibe was.
Yeah.
They don't know how to do the shit.
Well, it's an artist rendering then.
It's an artist rendering of a bunch of fucking shit.
I was trying to put a positive spin on this, but it's fucking impossible.
It's fucking impossible. I used to argue like this with Bruce Pritchard when he used to try to stick up for Vince and the WWF, and I love you, Bruce, and I love your brother, Tom, Dr. Tom, but you're fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot because nobody, and I told him this 20 years ago, and it's more truthful today than it ever was. There's never been a time in the past 100 years where fewer people were watching wrestling live at live events, where fewer people were watching wrestling on television, where fewer people were making a living being pro wrestlers, and where wrestling had a fucking lower opinion in general in the mainstream than it does today. I said this to Bruce in 1997. Here it is, 2014, and I was wrong then. It's worse now.
You know, that makes me think of something that I read this past week. You have, on occasion, talked about the kind of numbers that a promotion would do, let's say, in Memphis or Louisville. And I'm not going to name the person because I don't want to shame them, but he was quite proud of this. And it was that they had done 100 people at a New Jersey show. And by the way, not the Monster Factory guys, not you guys. This is a different promotion, different thing. You guys are a wrestling school. This was a promotion. And I said, oh. I felt kind of bad because I was thinking about the shit that you had told me. 12,000 people.
When I was 13 years old in 1974, the matches in Louisville every Tuesday night at the Louisville Gardens, you couldn't get in the first 3 rows of ringside. Now there's 20 seats in each row of ringside, so that's 80 on the first row, 160 second row, 243rd row. There were 240 full-time reservations where people went every week. You could get in the 4th row if you tried and you got there early. For every Tuesday night's fucking matches, 52 weeks a year at the Louisville Gardens. If you got there early and you really tried, you could buy 4th row tickets, but the first 3 rows were fucking reserved every week. Find that in a city in this fucking country, and I'll kiss your ass on Broadway.
I mean, because admittedly, even the, I guess what I tend to think of as the largest promotion around California, PWG, they're still doing something at a Legion of whatever hall.
Hey, let me, please, somebody quote me. Somebody quote me. PWG is a bunch of fucking guys, and you know, and there's nothing wrong with this. But it's a bunch of fucking guys that have gotten the wrestling business that want to put on goddamn shows in Reseda or wherever.
Yeah, it's Reseda.
In front of 400 people that appreciate that type of thing, where they book all the indie darlings and they get to do all their fucking spots and they get to do a stunt show fucking match. And once a month, they draw 400 people in a metropolitan area of what's Los Angeles? 10 million?
8.5 million.
8.5 million. I'm sorry. I was over fucking. Well, Louisville Gardens, 52 weeks a year on Tuesday nights in a city of 350,000 back in those days, used to draw 4,000 people a fucking week. It's goddamn ridiculous. And
it doesn't really make sense, does it? Because it seems like if I am led to believe that PWG is the hot shit, that if that was true, they'd be doing bigger venues.
Well, yes, because PWG, all the wrestlers get to do their shit.
I've actually been told not to go. They said, you won't be happy. You'll hate it.
The people that run it are the wrestlers who get to do their shit. And the fans that go are people who understand that wrestling is a work and want to go and see the fucking art form performed. And that's fine. But they're drawing 400 people in a rec center. Same problem with Ring of Honor. They're drawing 600 people in a fucking rec center. 3 years ago, I was thinking they might be able to do fucking 1,000 or 1,500 people in goddamn mid-sized buildings 6 times a fucking month. Imagine that. Which fucking
Why
30
can't
years
they?
ago would have been goddamn ridiculous to think that anybody would be so small and minute and minuscule that they could only draw 1,000 people 6 times a month.
Why do they draw so few? Here's my question, because I mean, it is demonstrably true that the thing that they do, their wrestling, is better than what you will see in the WWE. When the WWE comes to Los Angeles, they sell out the Staples Center. Why? What's not translating in terms of the other things, like, let's say, TNA, if they did a fucking road show?
Because Ring of Honor has better athletes and cheap-ass Republican fucking assholes that aren't going to spend any fucking money to publicize them and not going to spend any money to do a TV show that makes them look competitive. And so the guys are beating themselves up for no reason because the office is letting them down, because everybody that's been running wrestling for the last 20 years has fucking exposed it, has fucking let people like Eric Bischoff and that fucking piece of shit Vince Russo and all these other people that never had a goddamn lick of respect for the business or understanding of how it worked run the fucking business. And they've exposed everything so everybody knows what the fuck is going on. So as a result, the better athletes and the better matches don't make a fuck, because it's all about the money you spend to publicize the shit. And once again, the people in the UFC and MMA and Bellator are now understanding it's not about the great match. It's about the great hype. It's about the great promos. It's about the great personalities that you buy into, that you understand. Oh, shit. These guys are going to fucking fight. We got to see what's going to happen. And it's real. All of that shit they've taken it and they've wiped their ass with it. The greatest matches only appeal to the small, hardcore wrestling fans. The greatest fights only appeal to the small, hardcore UFC fans. The personalities appeal to the broad mainstream people who want to see what's going to happen. That's why Tito Ortiz and fucking Stephan Bonner and goddamn all these other guys, they draw fucking ratings and they draw fucking Ben. Brock Lesnar brought more people to the UFC, to the pay-per-views than ever before, because people knew who he was and they wanted to see what was going to happen. But when you've exposed wrestling as being all phony and all choreographed and all scripted, and we put smiles on people's faces and all that other effluvia that fucking Vince McMahon throws out, then you have completely eliminated the reason for people to fucking buy the goddamn pay-per-views and buy the goddamn tickets to see it live. Because now we knew there was something going on, but we didn't know what. And that's why we always wanted to go and see what was going to happen. But now we know exactly what. We don't give a fuck because it's fake. And the UFC is now going to fucking figure out, and they better balance. They better have a fine line between hyping fights and phony fights. If they ever go phony, they're fucking shot. But if they hype fights with wrestling personalities and wrestling promos and fucking trash talking, and then they go and they deliver a legitimate fight, they're going to do better than they ever have, because they're going to take the place of pro wrestling, which has been the most popular combat sport of the last 100 fucking years. And nobody can understand this basic, simple fucking premise. People want to believe it's fucking real and they want to see who's going to fucking win. And when you try to goddamn be a goddamn vaudeville show and fucking comedy and fucking we're admitting everything's fake and we're doing a performance, then you get the wrestling fans you're going to get, which is minuscule. And if you go, we're completely legitimate, but everybody's going to shake hands beforehand and they're going to shake hands afterwards because it's all sportsmanship like the UFC, then you're going to fucking flounder because it's all real, but we don't give a shit because nobody's fucking trash talking. You got to have the mixture, and the mixture is what draws money and what draws attention and what makes people buy tickets. And I'm so goddamn mad that this basic fucking simple premise is so hard for both sides to understand that I'm now having a goddamn headache.
Two things come to mind. Number one, you can't try to make everybody happy because you will end up making everyone unhappy. So trying to put smiles on everybody's faces is flawed. The other thing that comes to mind is that of magicians. Everybody knows that there's no such thing as magic, but everybody sure likes to be fooled, and everybody goes about it in a way that when you're in the audience watching a magic show, you're sitting, oohing and awing and enjoying it. You suspend your disbelief for that hour or 2 hours, however long it takes to watch a Lance. What's that guy's last name? Doesn't fucking matter. That guy, he's from Kentucky. He's a really, really good magician as well.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Lance Burton.
Lance Burton, yeah.
Nobody is sitting in his show chanting or shouting or talking, David Copperfield. That's not happening.
David Copperfield.
That's not happening. People are actually suspending the disbelief and enjoying and getting taken on the ride.
And you know what? The worst thing that's happened in professional wrestling is once that we admitted that all this stuff was bullshit and everybody started spilling their fucking guts and Vince said, oh, we want to put smiles on people's faces. Now everybody thinks they can write this shit better. I love Family Guy, but I can't write the goddamn show.
But you can make Stewie talk.
I can't put words in Stewie's mouth. And that's the problem. Everybody thinks they can book goddamn wrestling now because they know it's booked better than the people that are booking it. And, in some cases, they're right. But still, when I was going to the matches, I didn't think I could do this better than the people that were doing it. I was like, wow, these fucking guys are great. That's what you need. It's fucking bullshit. So wrestling is dead, ain't coming back. UFC needs to get their shit together. And if they use wrestling personalities to bring more eyes to their product and they get more trash, which we've always called for here on the program, more trash talking, doesn't have to mean the fights are fake, more trash talking, more hype, more building the fucking fights like they're already doing. That's why they're taking over. Wrestling is going to die. It's going to be a quaint goddamn fucking thing from the previous century. And it's going to appeal to a few fucking people because, oh, look at this. This is pro wrestling. It's like, goddamn, I don't know what the fuck. Back in the 50s, the fan dancers were hot, right? Now you can see goddamn gonzo porn where 80 people are coming on some fucking chick's face. So you don't really want to see the girl hiding behind the fucking flowered fan anymore, right? Because 80 guys are coming on this chick's face. We fucking killed our business because people that got involved with it and got started running it didn't understand why the people wanted to see it in the first place.
A thought comes to mind. We should probably close this really quick, but there's
before I goddamn start punching holes in my fucking hole. Yeah.
Just one idle thought, but there seems to be a difference between the attitude that you had when you were trying to get in of, I respect this tradition and I want to be part of it, versus the way a writer looks at it now in that I can make this better and I can change it.
Oh, yeah. Either I can make this better and I can change it, or I can get a credit for writing for the WWE and then I can go to Hollywood. Fuck you. Fucking, like these goddamn writers. That's why I hate these fucking writers, because they didn't fucking work. They didn't pay their dues. They didn't fucking work to get inside this business like the fucking mafia. They just showed up and they got hired because they had some goddamn degree from college. Fuck you. Fuck everybody that's ever been a fucking writer in goddamn wrestling that has not goddamn been a performer or been a participant, because you're a fucking piece of shit and you've contributed to the downfall of the industry that I've spent my fucking life trying to goddamn uphold. That's what I think of you. I wipe my feet on you. Fuck you. Please quote me everywhere.
Except for Alex Greenfield. We like Alex Greenfield.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. We had him on the program, but still, he's part of the fucking other side. Mm-hmm. Because nobody should have ever been, there should never have been a writer in wrestling. There's bookers. That's the Russo. I don't want to be a writer. I don't want to be a booker.
Who was the first writer?
Congratulations, Russo. You've always been a writer. You've never been a booker. You couldn't carry a goddamn booker's jockstrap because you're a piece of shit. It's only been in the last 20 years when everybody figured out that they could make money, all the TV networks, and all these people figured out that they could make money by writing wrestling, did this shit happen. And Vince McMahon fucking started it. Vince Russo was a goddamn cause of it. Eric Bischoff fucking owning or running WCW was a cause of it. And that's why the business today is worse than it's ever been in any metric that you care to fucking draw in the last 100 years, as we've just talked about.
You'll be delighted to know that Dixie Carter has said that she's totally open to having Russo back at TNA when they make their jump to...
Of course.
Yeah.
Dixie Carter's totally open to everything. You know, I think somebody ought to have a picture of Dixie Carter totally open, as in her legs spread from fucking north to south and totally open to somebody fucking her again.
How about a dick in her mouth and one in each hand just to keep her out of the wrestling business?
You know, at the old Ginger Lynn fucking, shot where she got a dick in each hand, one in her pussy, one in her ass, and one in her mouth. Because everybody has fucked you, Dixie. Everybody in the wrestling business have fucked you. Actually, they haven't fucked Dixie. They fucked her father, because Dixie didn't contribute one goddamn penny to the fucking wrestling business. It's her father who couldn't say no to his goddamn little Southern fucking belle who didn't know what the fuck she was doing. That's who's fucked goddamn Dixie.